Welcome back to Fred in the Shed, and this is part 2 of these videos where I try and sort out why I've got an incredibly high SWR. Now, in part 1 I did explain that I really didn't fancy taking down the Antron 99 and mast in sort of midwinter on a cold day, but I decided to do it anyway. I couldn't just sort of leave it up there and hope for the best. I mean, you know, the problem isn't going to go away by itself, is it? Now, a few people have asked me how I managed to take the antenna down on my own, and basically I used this cast iron umbrella stand that you see here at the bottom. I slide the pole along the sort of T and K brackets and then securely fasten it to the umbrella stand at the bottom, and it acts as a kind of counterweight, because, you know, taking these antennas up and down on your own is quite dangerous. They're very unwieldy, they're sort of quite top heavy, and even if you use an aluminium pole, they do become quite sort of hard to handle just on your own. So, you know, you do need to be very careful. If you can get an extra pair of hands in to help you, you know, all the better. But like I say, if you're a bit like me, if you like to do sort of things on your own, you're a bit independent, yeah, you know, it can be done, but do it with care and caution. Don't try and sort of manhandle the pole without something to sort of securing it at the bottom. So basically, you know, this is what I do. I just screw the pole into the sort of umbrella stand, and then very sort of carefully just let the pole kind of sort of tip over, and sort of gently sort of lay it down, normally on a stand, and then sort of onto the ground. Once you've got the antenna down, you'll notice it's a lot bigger than when it's on the side of the house, but it's a chance to go along and sort of check your installation. This is the sort of the Antron 99. It's been up for a few years now, so I just wanted to go along at this stage and just have a look to make sure that the pole itself wasn't split and wasn't letting in water, which would have flooded the bottom coil, and that would have caused the high SWR of S6 to 7 that I was getting. But I didn't really see any splits in the sort of fiberglass pole itself, so that was a good thing. So once I'd sort of established that, it was just a question of just checking the joints really. I did use some of that amalgamation tape last time I put these up. You know, this was the problem before. Water got in between these joints, caused some corrosion, and whacked my SW up high, but not as high as it was this time. But no, you know, this tape seems to have done its job. It's kept the sort of water out, and it all sort of seems sort of quite fast and watertight, so I don't think that was sort of the issue. Now, another question I get asked is about joining two poles together. Well, you can buy these connectors. They're made out of mild steel. They're on eBay, and they have sort of 4 bolts that you screw down onto the pole. Now, I'm a little bit sort of safety conscious, so I drilled through mine and sort of put in a couple of Phillips screws, one at the top and one at the bottom, just to make sure that in high wind that pole isn't going to come out. Okay, so I stood the antenna back up on its pole in the umbrella stand. This is how I started, you know, a few years ago, just with the stand as it is. Now, you've got to be very careful, of course. This will go over quite easy. You should really weigh the bottom down with a little bit of sandbags or something like that. But I just wanted to put it up away from the house, and I bypassed that switch box again, and just wanted to check the SWR to make sure that it was nothing to do with the you know, the brackets or anything to do with the sort of side of the house causing the high SWR. And well, to my surprise, that when I sort of keyed up here, my SWR dropped right back down to 1.2. So obviously, you know, by moving the antenna onto the ground and sort of picking it up again and disturbing it, I've obviously sort of done something that has reduced that high SWR. Next thing that I decided to do was to have a look at the coaxial plug at the bottom of the antenna. So we cut off the amalgamation tape. At first look, you know, things didn't look too bad. Couldn't see massive corrosion, but once I'd sort of taken the sort of plug off, I was able to see the bottom of the antenna, and the socket seemed absolutely fine to me. I couldn't see any corrosion on that. So I really took my attention to the sort of plug itself, and yeah, I could see a little bit of corrosion here. You can see sort of the white sort of frosting sort of powder that sort of started up around on the earth inside. So I decided to take this in for a closer look. So first opinion is a bit inconclusive really. Managed to get the plug off there, and the electret there, the centre core, seems, you know, free of corrosion. I've just got to let this plug cool down a little bit, but I don't know, a lot of the earthing braid completely broke off there when I tried to get that out, so I'm not quite sure what's going on inside there. Oh, sorry, a bit out of. It looks a little bit crusty. So I'm not sure if I've got one of these larger size plugs. I really should replace this. I have to look upstairs in the shack. I might have one. Probably have. But yeah, it does look a little bit crusty. But I couldn't see anything, you know, really bad, if you know what I mean. That would sort of instantly sort of stand out and say, yeah, that was the short. But I don't suppose it would take a lot to whack that SWR up. But anyway, you're going to crack on. I'll see if I can find a new plug. So that's all of the inner earthing mesh there, pulled out of the sort of plug there. There is a tiny bit of corrosion in. I don't know if I can get the camera to focus in there. There you go. You can just sort of see there is. Yeah, there certainly is a bit of corrosion in there. Although no sign that there was any short. People often ask in the comments what I think of 213 RG213 coaxial cable. I think it's absolutely great. I love 213. The only problem is it's a little bit more difficult to work with than Mini 8 or certainly RG58. It's quite a very sort of firm cable, and it doesn't really want to bend too much. And the outer sleeving is a lot thicker. It's a lot better quality. So I was discussing with Awesome Dave actually about having to use this stuff like outside, and if you're having to make a soldered connector actually sort of out in the field, if you like, actually outside, it's quite tough to work with, especially when it's cold. It's much better if you can get it indoors, and then you get it a bit warmer, you know, and then you can sort of cut the sleeving back. It's a lot easier. But overall, I think 213 is very, you know, it's good value. And ideally, if it wasn't for drilling through walls and things, I'd like to have the whole of my run on 213. But it is rather thick, and it does make it a little bit awkward to install when you sort of bring it into the house. So there you go, that's everything stripped back. Nice fresh copper shielding there. Got the central core there, nice and sort of tinned up, if the camera will focus on it. And yeah, that's ready. Get the plug on that, and get the antenna back up before it starts to rain. I think 'cause it's looking a little bit cloudy out there, and I do not want to have to put that antenna back up in the rain. The new plug on there. I always tend to just sort of dub a little bit of solder there on the sort of earth screening to the end of the plug. A little bit of flux helps. I don't know if you really need to do that. I just sort of, you know, want to make sure that you get a sort of good connection there. Really on the ground. Very interested. He's Bella, and there we go. That's everything sort of sealed up again, and hopefully that's it. Can, you know, shove it back up, and like I say, I think if I get any more problems with it, then I think this one will be replaced with a 2016. Which is probably sort of the way forward. I mean, overall, I've just had a quick look at the fiberglass, and yeah, it does feel just a little tiny bit rough when you run your hands along it. There's no sort of splintering, that I can see, no cracks. Though it could be, of course. They can tend to crack these sort of Antron 99s or Solicons. Yes, what do you reckon, Ken? What do you reckon? So yeah, at the moment it seems okay. So, you know, if I can, you know, get a little bit more, it works really well. So if I can get a little bit more sort of use out of it, I will, and eventually we'll be going up to a 2016. So hopefully that'll be in the summer. Right, let's get this bloody thing back up on the roof. The technique that I use for remounting the antenna is pretty much a reversal of how it sort of come down. I very carefully just sort of walk myself up the pole using the umbrella stand as a counterweight. Once I've got it upright, I sort of line it up roughly against the T&K brackets and get up on the sort of ladder, and then sort of carefully put round the U-clamps, and once I get that secure, then I can pull it up to its correct height. Unlike last time I did this, I did remember this time to use a spirit level to get the pole completely vertical. So hopefully when the breeze dies down, the antenna will be a little bit more straight this time around. Just need to try the SWR. Try it on the meter there on the 6900. And that's 1-to-1, I think. Just going to double check it on the meter there. and yeah, the actual needle barely moving, so that looks like an SWR of 1:1, which I've never had before. So maybe it was that plug then, all being well. You know, maybe that was it. I only ever got down to about 1.2, so I never had a 1:1 SWR before. So maybe there was a short on that plug, or some sort of corrosion on it. I don't know. Anyway, okay, so that gets the Fred in the Shed thumbs up. You know, as I said at the beginning of the video, if you're going to take an antenna down and do it, you know, on your own, just think ahead, plan ahead. It's very unwieldy, it's very top heavy once you get the pole away from those T and K brackets. Right, so I guess the last thing to do is just to get a little radio check, just to make sure that everything is being transmitted okay and I can be heard. Be on the 305, even though it says 495. Just going to sort of see who's on.
Sleepy side, but we'll be alright, mate. Give Bobby a shout there, Steve.
I'll see if I can QSK on the side. It sounds quite busy this afternoon. It has been quite busy the last couple of weeks since Christmas. QSK.
I can't see the rig, but you're cracking in here at the minute, but you better bring the break station in, Robbie. Yeah, break station. Do you copy Lima Tango 297, come back?
Yeah, Lima Tango 297, 1664, Mr. Fred in the Shed, and good afternoon, Robbie. How am I coming across to you?
Yeah, virtually your usual self, mate. Everybody sounds a little bit quieter at the moment because I've got the 827, but I've got it mounted at ground level. It's about 3 foot off the ground on a little tripod.
Quite good there. Have we got 061 on this afternoon?
Yeah, I'm here, Fred. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Dave, how am I coming across? I'm on the 6900, so my signal might be a bit down, but how's the audio? Am I clear, etc.? Back to you.
Yeah, you're clear there. Yeah, no problem at all there. What happened with the 99 there, with the microphone?
Yeah, I thought you'd ask that. No, it wasn't the microphone. What happened was I was on with you guys this morning, and I got a high SWR reading. Suddenly the radio was cutting out, and my SWR was peaking at 7, Roger.
Yeah,
7.
Roger on that. Yeah, well, I hope it ain't too serious, mate. It's a pain in it when radios go up the chute. I've had plenty of experience of that. Hold on a minute, Fred. I think Paul was trying to get in there. Yeah. Was that...
So there you go. That was a copy there on Robbie, who's also playing about with a new antenna. So he's testing, and obviously I got Steve was able to hear me, and then a radio report from Dave there, and yeah, I mean it seems to be working fine. I'll just have to see how it goes. A little bit off frequency at the moment because I say this radio has to warm up a little bit. But yeah, just have to sort of see how it goes. Well, it could be another video, but I think if it starts acting up, I think if it goes again, you know, I think we are going to end up going 2016. Definitely, I think that's the way forward. But okay, I'm going to shut off now. Got Eric coming on there now, Charlie Bravo 25. So yeah, I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Cheers, thank you very much for your time. It's always welcome. I'm only a small channel on that, and each view is always welcome. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed that two-parter. Hopefully that's my problem solved, and maybe, you know, one or two of you might get a little bit of help with raising and lowering the antenna by yourself. You know, you've got to be a bit careful when you do that. But as for now, as always with the boys on the 305 net, incidentally, that's on at 4 o'clock every afternoon, 27305, and on about 6:30 AM in the morning as well, 27305 upper side, man. But with the boys on the net, there's the old thumbs up. Cheers, thanks for tuning in, thanks for your time, and of course, stay safe, and I'll catch you all on the next one.